So you started off as its, tech service provider.
With FirstFounders, yes, of course.
2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now you've more or less pivoted or navigated into some sort of venture provider.
Yeah, the
What
pivot
would you
thing.
say, for instance, were the initial challenges you faced and, maybe led to that pivot from, service providing into venture services?
I had to kind of create like an agency in some way to offer that same model, to clients who necessarily will not give us equity.
Okay.
So they pay us for that service. They pay us up to $5,000, maximum of $25,000 for that same service, right? And we now use that money to now create our own startups. Again, so in 2020, I already have an understanding that we're going the venture studio way. Okay. But let's start with this, which is pretty much like our own MVP at that point. Again, so when we got to that point, we know that we now have sufficient capital. It was first of all a technical challenge where the tech team that we had were building products that were taking longer periods. And that's simply because our recruiting then was not very thorough, particularly from a skill point. So we didn't know. I'm a business guy. I'm not so technical. And then the second challenge was that the founders that we were working with at that time were not resilient enough to take on the product for that, maybe because it was a longer period for us to build, and they had to move into something else at some point. And some, when they got the product, they had other goals away from, because for the goal is that what we built for, we wanted to run with that. Like what we have now with the founders that we have within the studio now, they are running with the ideas, the product and all of that, So a lot of them didn't run with that product. And those are two challenges that we had at that time.
How did you navigate these challenges? How did you overcome?
Okay, so the first thing was I began to ask a lot of questions. I began to sort of look into the Andela, structure to understand what are the criteria that make them that a typical developer will have, because the developer side of things was very important in what we're trying to do. So we got to ask those questions, and people began to refer me to the developers that really have those skills. But the other thing was they were very expensive. For some, I started telling them that, okay, can we get like a mid-level guy that is not advanced like you, that you can recommend, that will come in and offering us that same service, but they're also interning on the other side of things. So we began to get those type of guys, and they grew with us.